Hello everybody. I wish you doing well. Today we'll all talk about the language. Let's start. Language is a system of signs and symbols that constitute a tool of knowledge, and language is the most important means of understanding and friction between members of society in all fields of life. Without language, people cannot become cognitive. Language is closely related to thinking. Human thoughts are always formulated in a linguistic form, even in the event of their inner thought. And through language, the idea only gets its real existence. Language also symbolizes the things that are reflected in it. Language is the ability to acquire and use a complex system of communication, especially the human ability to do so. Language is one of the specific examples of this system. The scientific study of language is called linguistics. There are questions about the philosophy of language discussed by Georges and Plato in ancient Greece, such as whether words can express an experience, and some thinkers such as Rousseau say that language originated from emotions, while others like it was believed to have originated from rational and logical thinking, and from philosophers of the 20th century such as Wittgenstein have said that philosophy is truly the study of language, and includes the major linguists Ferdinand de Saussure, Noam Chomsky, and William Stickey. Human language has many characteristics such as productivity, repetition, and displacement, which depend on social agreement and learning. It is a complex structure that allows obtaining a much broader set of expressions than any known system of animal communication, and it is believed that language originated when early human-like creatures began to gradually change major communication systems, and gain the ability to form other theory of minds and a common intent. That this development has sometimes coincided with an increase in the size of the brain, and many linguists see the structures of language as they have evolved to serve specific communication and social functions, so language is being addressed in many different locations in the human brain. But especially in the regions of Broca and Wernicke, and humans acquire language from XLL social interaction in early childhood. Children generally speak fluently when they reach about 3 years of age, and the use of language is rooted in human culture, in addition to its uses to communicate strictly, and also its language has many social and cultural uses, such as indicating the identity of the group, and social classes, as well as social and recreational grooming. Languages evolve and diversify over time, and their history and development can be restored by comparing modern languages to determine the characteristics of their ancestral languages that should be for the developmental stages that can occur later, and it is known that a group of languages that descend from a common ancestor is included as the family language, such as the Indo-European family is the most prevalent, which includes several languages such as English, Russian and Hindi, and the family between China and Tibet, which includes Mandarin and other Chinese languages, Tibet, and the Afro-Asian family, which includes Arabic, Somali, and Hebrew. Also Bantu languages, which include Kiswahili, Zulu, and hundreds of other languages are used throughout Africa. And Malayo-Polynesian languages, which include Indonesian, Malay and Tagalog, and hundreds of other languages are used throughout the Pacific Ocean. And the languages of the Dravidian family often spoken in southern India, which include Tamil and Telugu. The scholastic consensus holds that between 50% and 90% of the languages spoken at the beginning of the 21st century are about to become extinct by the year 2100. Theories of the origin of language differ with respect to their basic assumptions about what language is. Some theories rely on the idea that language is so complex that one cannot imagine that it simply appears out of nowhere in its final form, but must have evolved from previous systems of linguistic systems among our pre-human ancestors. These theories may be called continuity-based theories. The opposite view is that language is a unique human trait that cannot be compared to anything that does not exist in humans, and that it must have suddenly appeared in the transition from pre-human to primitive man. These theories can be defined as stopping-based. Likewise, Noam Chomsky's theories based on the language overview of language often see the language as a genetically coded innate property largely genetic, while functional theories consider it a largely cultural system learned through social interaction. Chomsky is a prominent supporter of the theory of indigenous human language theory that suggests that for researchers interested in the nature of language that talking about the development of linguistic abilities is unimportant. He also says that some random mutations may have occurred and reorganized the brain. Speaking is the default style of language in all cultures. Spoken language production relies on advanced capabilities to control the lips, tongue and other components of the vocal system, and the ability to decode vocal sounds, and the nervous system required to acquire and produce language. The study of the genetic basis of the human language is at an early stage, as the only gene that is definitely involved in language production is FOXP2, which may cause a form of congenital language disorder if it is affected by mutations. The brain is the focal point for all language activities. It controls both the production of linguistic perception and meaning and the mechanisms of speech production. However, our knowledge of the neural fundamentals of language is very limited, although it has advanced significantly using modern imaging techniques. Linguistics devoted to the study of the neurological aspects of language is called neurolinguistics. Languages express meaning by linking the sign form to the meaning or its content. Signal forms must be something that can be perceived, such as in sounds, pictures, or gestures, and then relate to a specific meaning according to the social term. Given that for most linguistic signs the primary relationship of meaning relies on social traditions, linguistic signs can be considered arbitrary in the sense that the agreement was established socially and historically and not by the existence of a natural relationship between the shape of a specific sign and the meaning. Methods in which languages use sounds or signs are used to construct meaning and phonology. The study of how humans produce and perceive sounds is called phonemes. Sounds as part of a linguistic system are called phonetics, which are abstract audio units that are defined as the smallest units in a language that can work to distinguish between the meaning of a pair of different words minimum, which is called the minimum pair. All spoken languages contain sounds of at least two different categories, which are vowels and consonants, which can be combined to form syllables. First, grammar. Grammar is the study of how meaningful elements called syllables within a language can be combined into speech. In linguistics, studying the internal structure of complex words and the processes by which words are formed is called morphology. The grammar rules for how to produce new sentences from words already known as syntax are called. The world's languages can be grouped into language families made up of languages that can be proven to have a common ancestry. Linguists recognize hundreds of language families, although some can be grouped into larger units as more evidence is provided with in-depth studies. Language exposure occurs when a language runs the risk of not being used because its speakers are dying or moving to speak another language. Language loss occurs when the language does not contain native speakers and becomes a dead language. If one does not finally speak the language, it will become extinct. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.